Hey everyone, George here and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be getting into plants and what the benefits of them are for your aquarium. We're going to talk about the 5 top plants that do not require any kind of substrate and will add not only beauty to your tank but also health benefits that you didn't even probably think of. Things that will help you to have a much healthier aquarium. Number 1, let's talk about some of the health benefits of plants before we actually talk about the plants themselves. And the first thing is that they add beauty to the tank and they also give off much needed oxygen to your aquarium. Now we don't think about this. A lot of people use CO2s and that kind of thing to get their plants to grow and to add these added benefits to the aquarium. But the plants that I'm talking about don't require any kind of CO2. They're also very low light plants, so they don't require a lot of light either. So this is a bunch of plants that I think are going to be great for beginners, and as I said, they don't need any substrate whatsoever. These plants will grow just by being in the water. We'll talk about how to anchor these plants down, how to hide them, how to add beauty to your tank, and kind of give it that new look that you're looking for that adds life. Plastic plants do nothing, and everyone knows plastic plants in your tank. It's easy to spot them. Why not put something in there that adds life and gives benefit to it? Now the second thing that plants do to help your tank be healthy is they take the organics out of your tank. In other words, all the stuff that's floating around that's micro, that you cannot see, and adds the food to these plants that help them to thrive and grow, and that is removing the organics from the water, stuff that you don't even see. Your plants can thrive, absolutely thrive, in just a basic aquarium and eat up the organics, not only helping the plants to thrive, but also keeping your tank healthy. Now, let's talk about the 5 plants that I have put together here, and we'll talk about them one at a time as far as what I think are the easiest. The number 1 plant that I think is the easiest for you to add to your aquarium is the Java fern. Now the Java fern is something that you can find at PetSmart. You can find it online really easy. It's a very, very common plant that you're going to find at most mom and pop's places that actually sell plants. If your mom and pop store doesn't sell plants, go down to PetSmart. They have a wide variety of plants that do not require substrate, and Java fern is one of them. This is an absolutely beautiful plant that thrives. Not only does it thrive, but it will throw off shoots off the top of the leaves, as you can see in the pictures that I've got here. And those little shoots are absolutely brand new plants that you can put in other parts of your tank. So as they grow, they actually multiply and give you an opportunity to use these plants in other parts of your tank. So Java fern would be the number 1 plant that I would recommend for anybody that's a beginner in the hobby. Now the second plant is something that has a lot of varieties to it, so I'm not going to get into all the subcategories of this plant, but I am going to talk about the plant itself, and that would be Anubias. Now Anubias comes in a lot of different varieties, as I said, but Anubias nana would probably be the most common one. Anubias bartera is the second most common one, and there's many other varieties of Anubias that are absolutely amazing for your tank. Now, what is nice about this category of plants, as far as the Anubias plant goes, is they come in different sizes, different shapes. So whatever your aquarium requires, you can find something in the Anubias family that is going to make your tank look amazing. Now what's nice about these is, again, they do not require any substrate whatsoever. You can take them, as you can see in the pictures that I'm providing here for you, they can be wedged between rocks and wood, all kinds of different things, but they do not require any kind of substrate. In fact, if you put them in substrate, you're likely to make these things rot. The roots will rot, and that would not be good for them. So Basically, all they need is just water flow around them, gathering organics from the water, and that is something that I think is an amazing opportunity for you to enjoy the benefits of plants. And like I said, Anubias is like the second most important plant that you could possibly put in to your tank. Now let's talk about another plant that is, you got to be a little bit careful with this one because it would be a plant that cannot tolerate very warm waters. Now most of the plants that I'm talking about here are plants that are good for between 75 degrees and 82 degrees basically. Anything beyond that, you stand the chance of melting your plants. If you're new to the hobby and you're not sure what melting plants means, that means basically that the plants themselves start to rot because the water's just a little bit too warm for them. But I want to talk about this next plant because I think it's a beautiful plant and offers a lot of kind of texture to it that gives a little bit of character to your tank, and that is the African water fern, African water fern. And as you can see from the picture here, it's got a lot of really cool textures to it that add really amazing look to your tank. And again, another plant that all you have to do is find places to wedge it into your between rocks and wood, or you can take, believe it or not, you can take actually some super glue that is made for aquariums and glue it to the rocks, and it will stay in place if you can't find places to wedge it in and that sort of thing. So there are super glues out there that are made specifically for aquariums. I think actually most super glues are fine, but I would buy something that is specific for aquariums, and you can take these plants and glue them to the rocks or the wood. It's sometimes really hard to get them to stick to wood, so if you can, try to find rocks that you can put up against the wood. As you can see in some of the pictures here, I'm giving you some different examples of that, and this gives you an opportunity to really take and use these plants in a way that gives you the benefits of having plants in your tank without having to worry about substrate, as I said earlier in the video. Now again, every one of the plants that I'm talking about here are good for 75 to 82 degrees. We don't want to get any warmer than that. I'd like to see you using these plants with aquariums that run in that range as far as temperature, because we don't want these plants to have problems and not be able to thrive in the aquarium. So the next one that I want to talk about is Java moss. Now, we don't think of moss as a plant, but it is. It really does benefit and take up, like I said, the CO2 in your water and gives off oxygen, and that oxygen turns into something that is beneficial for not only your fish, but if you're having snails or any other kinds of I would say snails, shrimp, anything like that, these are all beneficial to the aquarium. And Java moss is, again, another plant that I would recommend. Now, these are a little bit more tricky, but again, they do not require substrate. You have to figure out ways of getting these into your tank, incorporating them into your tank by gluing them down. Typically, you're going to have to do this, or sometimes tying them down to the wood on your plants, or in your tank. Now, as far as tying them down to the wood in your aquarium, first of all, you have to have some wood in your aquarium. If you don't have some wood in your aquarium, think about incorporating some wood. That's a whole nother video we're not going to get into, but it is, like I said, one of the most important aspects to keeping moss in place. If you can, find places in your tank and you do have some wood in your tank, then the Java moss is something you just simply are going to take and put in the area you want it, wrap some thread around it. Now the thread has to be cotton thread, not something that has any kind of nylon in it or anything like that, because if you're using those kinds of things, then that will not rot over time and will be visible over a period of time. So what you want to do is use something that is going to sort of decay over time, and that would be a strictly cotton thread, wrapping it around the moss, tying it to wherever you want it in your tank. You can do it, tie it to rocks, you can tie it to wood as I suggested, and get some really beautiful and really natural looking moss in your tank that just adds that extra layer of nature in your aquarium and gives it that look that makes it feel like this aquarium that you're putting together is like a piece of a water area, and you've just taken it out of the water and just set it into your aquarium. It's a really, really cool way of adding nature and beauty to your aquarium without a lot of work. So the fifth plant that I want to talk about is really a floating plant, and that's called frog bit. It's one of those things that you got to be careful with, because this stuff will multiply really, really fast. And also, if you are concerned about light, you want to make sure you're not using too much of this stuff, because the bottom line is, as you're using it, it's going to be blocking out some of the light in your aquarium, but it does add a tremendous amount of benefits to your aquarium. Like I said, taking up the organics and adding oxygen to your tank, but also gives it that beauty of just having some plants floating on the top of your tank. Now, you don't want to do this in a tank where there is a dramatic flow on the top of the surface of your tank, but in a tank where the water flow is more gentle and plants are free to just kind of float around on the top. It's absolutely beautiful to add some of this in. Now, there are other ones out there, duckweed and some others, that I don't recommend, because once you get some of these into your tank, it's almost impossible to get rid of them, and they reproduce so fast that you can't even keep up with it, and it becomes an annoyance. So these plants that I'm talking about, frog bit and that sort of thing, are absolutely fantastic. And again, water lettuce of any kind is another one. I know I'm adding other plants in here, but these, I'm just talking about floating plants in general in this particular category. Water lettuce is fantastic as well. Again, you have to be careful with these, because sometimes they will block light out and not really be beneficial to the other plants that might be in your tank and or the life in your tank as well. So be careful using these, in the sense that you don't want to use too much of it and block out areas of light that are needed for your aquarium. So I hope these were beneficial to you today. I find that adding plants to any aquarium offers another layer of beauty that you just really will make your aquarium pop and make it look more natural. And also, like I said, the added benefits of taking the organics out of the water and using them for something like a plant is absolutely fantastic. It's very helpful. It's almost like its own filtration system, and we don't even think about it sometimes. People will sometimes put plastic plants in their tanks. I think it's tacky. I mean, go for it if that's what you want to do, but why not put some of these in here that are going to benefit your tank long term and give you a healthy aquarium, one that you can enjoy looking at, but also know that the plants that you're putting in there are adding some benefits to the quality of the water in your aquarium and so forth. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this was helpful. I hope that these plants will give you an opportunity to give that extra bit of beauty to your aquarium and also add some health benefits as well. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you on the next one. Until then, we're out of here.